For casting on for double knit, there are several basic methods. The method I prefer is a version of long tail. I start with two different colors of yarn. In this case, to make it very clear, one is white, let me separate this out, and one is black, the two contrasting colors. And I start by leaving a fairly short tail and making a slip knot. This slip knot is really just a way of holding the yarns together. There are some people who prefer to tie the yarns together and then just start working. I think it's easier to use a slip knot, so that's the method I use. And it's a version of long tail. If you don't know long tail, you really should learn how to do a long tail cast on, because without that basic knowledge, this is going to be a hard cast on. I've done this before as a video, and the criticism was I did it too fast. I presume people knew how to do long tail. The way it works is we have the dark color on our thumb, the light color on an index finger. Though we could switch it around, it wouldn't matter. The position of the yarns is not going to change. The first thing we're going to do is to go in and do a standard long tail cast on. It's pretty simple. And then to make our second cast on stitch, we're going to come in here and make that twisted loop just as we normally do on the thumb. Pick up the black, and now we've cast on a black stitch. Once again, come into the thumb, pick up a white, standard long tail, come into the white, pick up the black, and do this sort of long tail. A standard long tail, or reversed long tail. And the result is, as you see, discarding this one, is we have black, white, black, white, black, and now we know we have to do a white. This kind of long tail creates a very interesting edge. It's pretty edge. There is, to my knowledge, no matching cast-off. I use a standard cast-off, and I just alternate between two colors. So once again, it's standard long tail cast-on, picking up the index finger thread, and then the reverse long tail cast-on, coming behind, back to the knuckle of your middle finger, into the loop on the index finger, picking up the thumb yarn, coming back out, a totally reverse movement. If you're familiar with the movement of standard long tail, learning to do the reverse long tail is not that difficult. And that's one way to do a cast on for double knitting, and to have a very pretty, interesting front and an interesting back. Oh, I made a mistake. Look there, I have two blacks in a row. And that's one of the things you'll see as you work along if you make a mistake. Let's try this again. After black, we need to do white. After white, we need to pick up black. If we have black here, we go into black. If we have white here, we go into white. So it's a standard long tail stitch done with two colors of yarn, and a reverse long tail stitch done with two colors of yarn. Now, as we all know, one of the characteristics of a long tail is you get a purl on the side you're working on. So as you turn it, you can see that you have knits and purls, which also works very well for doing a cast on with double knitting, that you start out with knits and purls to begin with. A second option is, again, another long tail variation. Again, we start with a double slip stitch, which is not counted, not used when we've done our long tail. We've done our first row. We can unravel it. You can just, and as I say, I just personally don't like it, people just tie a simple knot, not a slip knot, but a simple knot, position the yarn in their hands, and then just start casting on. Just start with their first cast on stitch, and then later undo that knot. So now here's our second method of casting on. I'm going to leave that knot there because I've started this way now. We see we have white on our thumb and black on our index finger. We're going to do a version of the braided cast on. Take the white yarn, and with practice this becomes very simple. Let go of it, switch it, so now we have black on our thumb, white on our index finger, and make a standard long tail. Rotate the black backwards again, make a standard long tail, Now watch that again. The white gets done, the black gets moved over, gets pulled into position, the black gets let go, pulled under, the yarns get put into position. With a little bit of practice, this becomes fairly quick. It's a fairly quick motion. The disadvantage to something like this is we are twisting our yarns and our threads behind us will twist up. So it can be, we've done black, so we need to twist the white under. And again, you can look at what's on the needle to figure out where the yarn should be. There we go. Yes. If we have a white stitch, then white needs to be rotated. If we've just completed a white stitch, that's because white was on our index finger. Black needs to be rotated under so that we can make a black stitch. White is rotated under to make a white stitch. You'll see that with practice, I can do that rotation and positioning quite readily. But one of the things that happens as I do get these twists in the yarn, and what will happen is as I cast on, I have to keep moving back and moving the twist closer to the ball. And if you're doing a very long cast on, that might be a problem. So we did a black stitch, that means white gets rotated under, so we can do a white stitch. Black gets rotated under, so we can do black, white gets rotated under, and the rotation becomes very, very smooth and simple. You drop, put your index finger in, then your thumb is there. Drop, put your index finger in, thumb is there. The rotation is fairly smooth running. Now this kind of a cast on, and it's not that even, gives a sort of braided look when you've actually done your first row. Again, there is no matching bind off that I know. A standard bind off in 2 colors is somewhat similar but not identical. So those are 2 basic ways of doing a long tail cast on in 2 colors for double knitting.